Well, to introduce our next speaker, we could fill an entire movie script. He's a sportsman, he's an activist, he's a politician, and he is a real climate action hero.
You know what? When I was practicing introducing Mr. Schwarzenegger at home, I was doing this because I'm so happy. With his organization, R20 Regions of Climate Action, founded in 2011, Mr. Schwarzenegger continues to support projects and policies that improve environment and health.
And born in Austria, he is now back to launch the R20 Austrian World Summit Initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
First of all, let me just say, recht herzlichen Dank für die fantastische Einführung. Und ich möchte zuerst ein paar Worte in Deutsch sagen. Ich bin sehr glücklich, gemeinsam mit Bundespräsident Van der Bellen und Bundeskanzler Kern diese internationale Umweltkonferenz hier in Wien zu veranstalten. Ich bin sehr stolz auf beide Staatsmänner. They are great leaders. Sie sind diejenigen, die verantwortlich sind, dass wir jetzt in Österreich 32% erneuerbare Energie haben. Und bis 2020 sollen es 34% sein. Ich sage, es werden 100%ig 40% sein. Stimmt's? Ja, genau. The pressure is on. Ich möchte mich auch bei Bundesminister Ruprechter recht herzlich bedanken für deine Freundschaft und auch für dein Leadership. Du bist der Wegweiser in Österreichs beispielhaftem Umweltschutz. Und ich freue mich jetzt wieder in Österreich zu sein. Ich liebe das Land, ich liebe die Leute hier und ich liebe das Essen. Wir haben hier die besten Wiener Schnitzel in Österreich, die besten Kaiserschmarrn, besten Apfelstrudel, besten Kaffee, besten Getränke, Wein, Schnaps, alles. So, ich hoffe, dass ihr alle, die Gäste hier, und wir haben über 50 Länder hier vertreten, dass ihr das alles genießt. Aber Österreich ist nicht nur für die schönen Dinge des Lebens berühmt. Wir sind hier heute, weil Österreich auch ein Aushängeschild für Umweltschutz ist. Genauso wie Kalifornien. Die Österreicher, die Kalifornier und die meisten Amerikaner marschieren mit euch, marschieren mit uns in und für eine Zukunft mit sauberer und nachhaltiger Energie. Die Zukunft ist auf unserer Seite. Das, meine Damen und Herren, verspreche ich Ihnen. So thank you very much for the fantastic introduction. And I want to say right off the top, thank you very much, Monika Langthaler. Without you, there would be no conference here. I just want to say thank you and to thank all of the people that worked with you all night long here, I know, because I came by here late at night and I still saw everyone working here. So thank you very much for coordinating between the President's office and the Chancellor's office and our office and so on. So I want to say thank you very much to President Van der Bellen and Chancellor Kern for joining me and the R20 here today and organizing this International World Summit on Environment. I mean, there's really no better time than for the environmental leaders of the world to get together here today and to discuss our way forward towards a clean energy future. And I was so happy that I heard someone come up here today and talk about the health aspect of the environment. Because I always complain about that no one ever talks about the amount of people that are dying. You've heard 6.5 million people alone every year die because of air pollution. And 13 million people die because of pollution in general. Well, hello, there's too many people dying. We should talk about that. It's a very important issue. But in the meantime, I want to just say congratulations to both of the leaders in Austria, the Chancellor and the President, for their great leadership here. Because Austria really can brag because we are a great environmental leader, just like California. 32% of renewables, by the year 2020, 34%, and like I said earlier, I think they're going to manage 40% of renewables. So congratulations for the great work. I also just want to say that it is very unique, and I hope that that everyone here gets the message. I am a conservative. The Chancellor comes from the Socialist Party, and the Bundespräsident comes from the Green Party. So isn't it interesting? We have totally different political point of views, but when it comes to the environment, we're working together like a jewel. Let's give them a big hand for this kind of great working together. I also want to say thank you to Minister Ruprechter for his great friendship and leadership. You have been the rock for Austria's environmental progress, and I always love celebrating your victories because your victories are also our victories. And Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed, sorry you couldn't make it, but you're a terrific leader. And we love working with the UN. The United Nations has had great leadership on this subject, and we are looking forward to working with you in the future. And finally, a big thank you to the President of the French Constitutional Council, my very good friend, Laurent Fabius, for joining us here today and for all your hard work. We all know how hard you worked as Foreign Minister of France to travel around the world and to negotiate and talk and work with foreign leaders, with ministers of the environment and energy, especially those that were sitting on the fence and did not know which way to go, and you pushed them in the right direction. We know the work that you did and that you're one of the great architects of the Paris Agreement. Let's give him a big, big hand for the great work that you have done. We're looking forward to your speech afterwards, and of course to your wisdom. Thank you for being here. Now we have a lot of leaders here today from the private sector, public sector, energy ministers, environmental ministers, and it is really extraordinary when you see the energy in here. I mean, there's so much energy in here, I think if we just capsule it all together, we could power the whole city of Vienna. Let's be honest, right? Look at this. Let's give yourself a big, big hand for all this great enthusiasm and energy in here. Now, for me, it's wonderful to be back here again at home. I mean, this is the most perfect place to have this summit. I think my love affair for Austria and for the environment is very well known. But what most of the people maybe don't know is that my love for the environment started right here in Austria. It started in the hills around Graz, in a little village called Thal. Nature was my playground, but it also was a source of my family's nourishment. You see, we didn't have running water when I grew up, so my brother and I had the responsibility of getting buckets of water for our home. We got it nearby from a well. But at that time, we never even thought about that when we drink this water that it may be polluted. Nor when we played outside on the playground and played soccer, or went skiing or sledding or ice skating, did we ever think that we would choke one day because of dirty, polluted air. Nor when my mother pulled out the carrots and the potatoes out of the garden and we ate them without ever thinking about that the soil may be contaminated. None of that happened because Austria was clean, pristine, and beautiful. And so this is why I'm so happy and I'm in absolute heaven to stand here today before you and to meet with all of you and to talk about how we can move forward towards a green energy future and clean our water, our soil, and our air for future generations. Now, I've been on this crusade for the last 14 years, ever since I became governor of the great state of California. When people ask me, Arnold, why are you so interested in the environment? I mean, you're a conservative, you're a Republican. Why are you so passionate? I always tell them, I say, this is not a party issue. This is a people's issue. This is an issue about creating a future for our generations, for our children and grandchildren that we can be proud of. That is what this issue is about. It's never an issue that ought to be politicized. There is no conservative air or liberal air. We all breathe the same air. There is no conservative water or liberal water. We all drink the same water. And ladies and gentlemen, with that philosophy of bringing everyone together and not politicizing it, we were able in California to bring Democrats and Republicans together, the profit and non-profit organizations, the public sector, the private sector, the financial institutions, the academic institutions. We brought everyone together and we became the leaders of the clean energy revolution. Now, of course, it was never easy. There was a lot of fighting going on and a lot of pushing and shoving, but I can tell you that the hard work paid off, because today it feels like we are almost there. I can feel the energy and the momentum building. We are so close. Now, I know that my optimism may surprise some of you, especially with the recent news where President Trump has pulled the United States out of the Paris Agreement. But I want all of you to know that I remain optimistic, because the United States is not Washington and is not one man. And while one man may have turned his back on the Paris and environmental progress, our states and our cities have not. Our colleges and universities have not. Our corporations and our businesses have not. Our scientists and our engineers have not. And most importantly, our people have not. As a matter of fact, by a 2-to-1 margin, the American people are totally and remain committed to the Paris Agreement. Many of our governors, hundreds of mayors, and thousands of businesses remain committed. At the local and regional level, we are moving forward faster than ever before. We are installing wind and solar at a record rate. We are buying more electric cars and alternative fueled vehicles than ever before. And we are innovating every single day. This is what our environmental organization, the R20, is all about: to empower local and regional governments, cities, states, and provinces, and to let them know to move forward in a strong way and not to wait for their federal government or national government or for their capital. Because most of the action always is happening on a local and grassroots level. I've always said that our movement will succeed as a grassroots movement in the cities and states and with ordinary people. And today we are seeing it become a reality despite the short-sighted decisions of Washington. So, to those of you who are concerned, let me be perfectly clear. One man will not stop our progress. One man will not bring back the dirty energy of the past. And one man will not defeat us. We will succeed, we will win, and we will create a future for our children and grandchildren that we can be proud of. And I know that because I have been there before. When I was governor of the state of California, we didn't get any help from Washington in our clean energy crusade. We did a lot of hard work. We passed our low carbon fuel standard, the green building initiative, the million solar roofs that we added, the renewable portfolio standard, we moved it from 20 to 48% by the year 2020, the tailpipe emission standards that became a national law, and our commitment through AB 32 to reduce our greenhouse gases by 25% by the year 2020 and 85% by the year 2050. And we are building the largest solar plants in the world. And instead of congratulating us, what did Washington do? They stopped us on every step of the way. They said that greenhouse gases were not a pollutant, and therefore we had no right to control our own air and regulate our own air. So of course we didn't take this lying down, because we always said that subnational governments have a lot of power. So we took the federal government to court, and we sued Washington, and we won in court. Then it went to the next court up. We won again. Next court up, we won again. It went all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States, and the Supreme Court of the United States said, yes, greenhouse gases are a pollutant. Well, duh. How much brain power did it take to really figure that one out, right? But we went the right route and we won. And it just shows the power of subnational governments. Now, in the movies, it would have been a little bit different, because in the movies, we would have done it easier. We would have just said, so who thinks that greenhouse gases are not a pollutant? And they would say, yes, me. I would have hooked their mouth up to an exhaust pipe, turned on the engine, and I guarantee you that within a minute they would have tapped out. And they would have said, I think you're absolutely right. It is a pollutant. Okay. So this is, but I mean, let's go back to reality here. The bottom line is we never slowed down our progress because of Washington. And along the way, we were so successful that other states joined us, and they became our partners. Washington was frozen, but the action on the state and local level was going absolutely through the roof. The United States is not and has never been Washington. So even if the current resident of the White House thinks that he can stop us from our progress, and even if the whole city of Washington thinks that they can slow us down, they won't have a chance in hell. So therefore I say, let's forget about the negative dialogue and the negative news. Let's forget about the doom and gloom. Let's tell the people the good news. Tell the people about the jobs that we are creating. Tell the people about the lives that we are saving by getting off fossil fuels. Making them part of the crusade. Give the people hope for positive things to happen. We don't have to talk about the future like it is some bad science fiction movie. No, let's talk about the present, because the present is a great story of all the great things that are happening all over the world. I still remember in 2004, when I just was the first year in office as governor, we had at the Los Angeles Car Show, we presented alternative fueled vehicles, electric cars, hydrogen cars. We barely found 3 cars. But 7 years later, my last year in office, we had over 50 cars that were alternative fueled vehicles. See, that's the great news that is going on. And not only that, we built the Tesla company in California. California is not known to build cars, but we invited Tesla to come to California. They've never built a car either. And today it is the most valuable car company in the United States. You see, and can imagine what kind of revenues that brings to the state of California. And not only that, the latest model that they have offered in a pre-sale, the Model 3S, they sold $2 billion worth of pre-orders. They said if they have to fill every order, they would have to buy every lithium-ion battery in the world. That's how gigantic, that's how successful they are. So those are the great stories. We have come so far and so fast. It is true that our progress scares some people. I don't blame them for that, because it's human nature, that we prefer the past that we know versus the future that we don't know. So it is all a matter of communication. We have to let the people know that a green energy future can be a very profitable future. I've seen it over and over, because the naysayers and those who have interest in preserving the status quo are quick to prey on the people's fears of the unknown. and they always tell them, if you turn green, the economy will go down, businesses will lose money, and you will lose jobs. But let me tell you something, those are bogus ghost stories. Those are scare tactics, those are lies. Because we know the reality. The fact has proven the naysayers dead wrong. As California has led the way on environmental progress, we are the fastest growing economy in the United States. As a matter of fact, last year we created more jobs than the second and third state combined. And right now, California is producing 10 times more jobs than there are in the whole United States of coal mining jobs. And on top of that, we only represent 12% of the United States population-wise, but 25% we are contributing to the economic growth of the United States. The United States last quarter had only 0.7% GDP growth, but California had 5% GDP growth. So it just shows you how powerful California is. And I want to let you know that this is not just news in California, this is great news all over the world. I mean, even here in Austria, I already talked about the renewables in Austria, but the biggest state in Austria, which is Niederösterreich, Lower Austria, is 100% renewable. Isn't that a fantastic story? And may I remind you, they've created, because of that, 40,000 new jobs. And those are 40,000 people that don't have to worry about anymore on how to put food on the table at night. Those are 40,000 people that are living a better life. And those are 40,000 people who are the perfect messengers of our clean energy and of our clean program and future. So these are the stories that we must tell. These are the stories that are happening outside of Washington, away from the White House. These are the stories that make me an optimist. America didn't drop out of Paris. Donald Trump dropped out of Paris. The states and the cities have made their choice. Businesses have made their choice. The people have made their choice. And we chose to stand with you, and we chose to stand with the future. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.